Hi, Nagu. Can you hear me?
Hi, Chris. Yes.
It's great to host you today.
Thank you.
I wanted to start out by introducing myself. My name is Chris Sinke. I've been with Bittrex, or one of the Bittrex companies, for almost 4 years now. And I started my crypto journey back in 2016 and officially joined Bittrex in 2017. After leaving DocuSign, I worked for Amazon before that, and then was at London Business School. I interned for Amazon and Google, worked for Amazon for a bit. So I've kind of been all over the place. And I now run business development at Bittrex Global, which is the non US entity of the Bittrex family of companies.
Yeah.
And so we're excited to list you. I know we've and your team and I have met before, discussed before, and gone through the listing process. And now here we are today, actually getting to share details of Folder with the community, which I'm excited about. So
Great. Yeah.
with that said, I'd love to hand it over to you to introduce the Folder protocol and any other high-level details you want to talk about the project. Like, feel free to share with our community.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today, Chris. 4 years in crypto is like 4 decades,
That's right. It's for life.
or lifetimes. My name is Nagu Thoqiti. I'm CTO of Folder Labs. Something about me, before joining Folder Labs, I had designed, developed blockchain protocols, decentralized applications with a heavy focus on like a protocol security engineering, IPFS ecosystem for decentralized storage. And before that, I have a long experience in creating enterprise scale platforms, applications in the field of AI, big data, and financial technology. With probably 20 plus years experience in the industry. And I'm with a little bit of professional accreditation and my graduation from the MIT and USC. So from education wise, I'm a mathematician, computer scientist with the cryptography and AI as a specialties. I have been doing this privacy preserving AI big data projects for a long time in the non-blockchain professional world, mainly in the healthcare and financial sectors. Folder team. I am in California. Our rest of the team is kind of spread across, mostly in Asia and some in America and a couple of people in Europe. Two of our founders are from Korea, but a lot of other engineers are spread out across everywhere.
Well, it sounds like you're incredibly talented. You've got quite an impressive resume there to be building a blockchain project. I think our community would love to understand where the name comes from, and I certainly would I'd love to understand a little bit more about how you plan to interact with Filecoin over the next short-term period of development.
Sure. So Folder protocol is essentially designed to be a layer 2 solution for the decentralized storage protocols, all protocols, such as Filecoin. I mean, Filecoin is essentially an incentive layer on top of IPFS ecosystem, which is a somewhat advanced version of, you can call it IPFS ecosystem, that can provide you storage infrastructure for any kind of data over HTTP. So it is especially useful for decentralized data, and building and running any distributed application, implementing especially like data heavy smart contracts uh, uh, in a blockchain way. So what we are trying to do, there are some core issues with the existing solutions in the market. What we are trying to do is essentially solve those issues, and I will later on, in our questions, and I think I'll get a chance to talk a little bit more into details about what those problems are and how we are actually solving. Regarding the name, the earliest version of the project was primarily focusing on the developing on top of Filecoin layer one protocol. So we were thinking about, you know, how to create decentralized Dropbox, Google Drive, Amazon AWS versions, especially in the blockchain space, on top of utilizing Filecoin as a core. So this is where kind of brand name, some sort of materialized folder coin and some versions of it. But very soon we kind of quickly adjusted. We just don't want to be only the Filecoin based a blockchain solution for decentralized storage. We want to be a enterprise scale decentralized storage for all blockchains.
Oh, well, that's great. I think it's really important to focus on the fact that you guys are going to be cross-platform. And I wasn't even aware of the long-term vision of Folder in that regard, as far as a layer 2 solution goes when it comes to distributed storage systems. And so I think that's a good segue into my next question, which is around the token economics. So I think our community feedback in advance of this AMA, there's a lot of interest around what those look like, how many tokens are going to be minted, what the distribution looks like, the supply dynamics. Of course, everybody's always worried about price. So I'm sure that's where that's coming from.
Yeah, today is a good day to talk about price too, because the
Yes.
market is not so big, and luckily we were not that much affected. So we are, I think, our total coin supply is around 200 million. Currently, the circulating supply is around 2%. So approximately somewhere between 3.5, 4 million coins should be there in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Bulk of our coins, I think nearly 70% of our coins are in the mining. So because when the miners protect the network, they get staked and then they get rewarded. So bulk of the bulk of the value is actually coming from there. There's a small portion set up for business development, foundation, team, R&D's kind of state, but I think it's remaining 30% divided across rest of the business operations team, R&D's, audits, and everything. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So in taking a look at the feedback we got from our community on various questions, that's what I want to focus on, is making sure that we get the questions that those are paying attention want answered. So when I take a look at the question list, I'm trying to pick some interesting ones here from feedback and throw it over to you. So here's one that's kind of interesting, I think, and it's a bit higher level and maybe a difficult one to answer, but it's a folder protocol as a layer 2 on top of decentralized storage solutions. Talk a little bit about the potential benefit to those that are not in crypto. So beyond those that are like engaging with the coin and really working with Folder, how is this going to impact the broader society?
Great question. So storage. I mean, let's talk about digital storage. Digital storage is something that all individuals, all companies deal with. You, our families, and everybody. So essentially, you're storing your pictures, videos, important documents, etc. And if you're a company, you're developing applications, you have platforms, any other kind of IP um, coming out of this applications platform, and all the data. So today, the options are, you're saving in basically Amazon AWS, Google Storage, Dropbox, this kind of storage solution where the trust is kind of centralized. So the decentralized storage solutions like Folder Labs, like Filecoin, other good alternatives are essentially important when privacy, security, and decentralizing the trust are core important factors for your storage decision. So in that sense, the non-crypto people will be also very benefiting from a decentralized storage solutions, especially if they care about privacy, security, and a distributor's trust. Uh, I can't hear you, Chris.
I'm sorry about that. I muted myself. I think that's really interesting in terms of the average user and how they're going to benefit from this. And you think about decentralized storage in general and the movement of that, a layer 2 solution is going to probably enable this thing to actually hum and compete with the big players long term. So yeah, I certainly think it's critical. I see the value to the everyday user that's not involved in crypto at all. So the next question was just a ton of interest on NFTs and decentralized finance. And so trying to understand if there's a connection between what Folder is doing and those two spaces. I think people are just always interested in those two spaces right now in general. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that. That'd be helpful.
Sure. So today, when you create NFTs or when you're interacting with DeFi, there's a lot of data and metadata get generated. And today, there's not much option other than just storing in the blockchain. And typically, if you're talking about Ethereum or some other chains, storing any kind of data is extremely cost prohibitive, very expensive. So what Folder is trying to do in this space is we are actually trying to create a NFT slash DeFi platform that's a Folder storage based. And your question is so right on timing for us because in next 1-2 weeks, we are currently going through a very big security audit and testing phase. We'll be releasing a Folder NFT DeFi platform, making it easy for people to join the NFT DeFi movement with a seamless user experience, especially bringing your own assets to tokenize to NFT, mint, or create auctions, stake your NFT for rewards. So please watch our Telegram community, Folder Telegram community, and the website for more details about this Folder NFT DeFi platform launch. You're muted, Chris. You're muted.
I'll have to stop taking myself on. I'll have to stop putting myself on mute. I apologize. So let's take a look at the question list here and see if I can pick another good one that I think our community would really love to learn about. And okay, so let's take it back up a level and let's zoom out to the 30,000 foot level and talk a little bit about the bigger picture and the problem that Folder is trying to solve. And so some of the feedback that we've gotten is, do these file storage solutions really need a layer 2 right now? What is it that the Folder protocol is really trying to solve? What problem is it going after? And how long is it going to take, do you think, to show the benefits of that problem solving?
Great question again. So the very few current decentralized solutions, storage solutions like APFS or Filecoin, they suffer from issues related to very high latency, performance, scalability, and in some aspects also centralization of online miners. Especially all of them have a one-size-fits-all approach, which typically won't work for like a companies or data-heavy usage developers who want to develop in the blockchain world. So what Folder Lab is trying to do, especially in terms of distinguishing, differentiating, we're trying to bring an enterprise scale performance, very low latency, and a high scalability to the data intensive application platforms on the blockchain through these layer 2 decentralized storage solutions.
Okay. Well, I think that definitely covers it in terms of the problem that Folder is trying to solve. And I'm just going through our question list here and trying to pick out a good one. I think I like questions that I'd love to know the answers to, as well as our community. So we get a lot of them coming in. And so sticking with the theme of the 30,000 foot view and the longer term problem that Folder Protocol is trying to solve. What do you think about decentralized storage as a long-term competitor to Amazon Web Services and Google and Azure? How much of a threat is decentralized storage overall to those industries, to those companies in that industry?
Great question again. I think let me put it this way. I think it's similar to asking a question like this, which is, okay, if a new coin company comes and you ask, how much of a threat it is to Bitcoin and Ethereum. I mean, in general, I think the network effects of Bitcoin and Ethereum are at a totally different level. I mean, we can always come up with interesting projects, their pros and cons of the networks. But in general, a new startup, new coin company coming and threatening the network effects of Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's very unlikely. So in a similar sense, my belief is that we can all coexist in the real world. The Amazons, the Google storage, and at the same time, the decentralized storage solutions like us, FOL Labs, we all can coexist and still create a better community, better solution for the use case.
Yeah, I think that's right. It reminds me of Bitcoin maximalists and their concept of there is one coin to rule them all, and I just don't see that happening. I think that we're going to live in a multi-chain world, and there's going to be different ecosystems for different utility benefits, and I think that's kind of playing out right now, actually. And I do agree with you that in terms of an up and coming utility for cryptos such as decentralized storage, that's likely going to happen. I don't see Amazon going anywhere. They're just too big. But there's definitely a need for a different way of managing storage and accessing storage.
Yep.
Because it can provide different utility.
Yep.
Censorship resistant technology is going to be I think a big issue over the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as the privacy, security, and distributing the trust becomes an important value-adding factors for the user, then decentralized storage are like a natural substitutes for our current options.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back down to the protocol level, and I think we've taken a look at the 30,000 foot view, talked a little bit of strategy about the industry. Talked about what problem Folder is trying to solve. And I think just getting back into the weeds, I think our community is also very interested in understanding if they get involved with Folder Protocol, how can they participate in the upside of the network beyond the coin price? So mining, staking, anything in that arena. Can you tell us a little bit about those and how people can participate and what that looks like?
Sure. Yeah. In blockchain industry, liquidity kind of drives the innovation in general. So FOL Labs has mining staking rewards for the miners who maintain the decentralized storage network. But we're also creating additional ways to stake and get rewards within the Folder network. We are creating new ways to stake in the Folder NFT DeFi platform that will be launching pretty soon to get rewards and help grow the network. So FOL Labs is allowing users more flexibility in how they can contribute to the growing network by supporting as a liquidity provider, make some participation in the network, uh, to, how do I say, increasingly attracting the more new user base. So we have very interesting combination of different kind of staking reward benefits. I think the best place to find all these things in the Telegram community of FOL Labs. There you would get the details about staking and other benefits of helping grow the network.
Great. And what's the website again that users can go to take a look?
Folderlabs.io.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about hacking. That's always a security risks. It's always a hot topic in this day and age. And have you guys been audited? What security features have you implemented to minimize this risk? On a layer 2, you're leaving the core blockchain and you're putting coins on another network to move them around. So I feel like it's a fair topic to get into.
It's an interesting topic. Yeah, I mean, my background is actually security engineering, especially in the cryptography. So our software design philosophy is security first mindset. As we are developing the core folder protocol infrastructure for decentralized storage, we are building the tools and the solution with various security engineering principles as part of the design, not in a reactive approach. So we're also planning roadmap detailed security audits at various stages for different parts of the infrastructure, but also an integrated audit that combines all of them with multiple parties, in fact. So in general, applications built on blockchain are prone to bugs, social engineering, malware, and a lot more kind of exploits. So, blockchain security assessments, like security audits and security analysis, they help you understand, for example, questions like, is it possible for an unauthorized party to gain administrative access to, let's say, my smart contracts or my storage, my data? These audits and security analysis also answer, are tokens within the contracts, contract managed, they're stored correctly or not. So a lot of times when security happen, they just check for something called whether there are any bugs or not. But checking for correctness is a much more difficult task in blockchain. So there are a lot of these questions like, are the backdoors present, or any common security coding errors are present. All this kind of come out when you do a detailed security assessments for the infrastructure. You are muted, Chris.
I'm getting muted automatically and then also muting myself. So that's certainly my fault, thinking that I was going to come back off mute. So that's all very interesting. And I'm not a security engineer myself, but I certainly work with a number of them. I think at Bittrex, it's an incredibly important aspect of what we do, right? We've never had a breach.
It's a core value proposition for somebody like you, yes.
Yeah. As a fiduciary of billions in customer assets, we take that all very seriously, and it's something that you guys passed as well, our security review, in order to be listed on Bittrex Global. So it's good that you're taking it seriously, obviously. And the layer 2s, I think, are really interesting because they're used to facilitate transfers in and off of the same blockchain, right? So there is a different security attack vector, if you will, that that happens when a layer 2 is used. So I think it's a really important consideration and concept, especially as we move into an era where we're depending more on layer 2s to transmit funds. So I actually have a question for you. In terms of the layer 2, is there any future integration potential with an exchange? So users opting in to use the layer 2, moving say Filecoin funds from one exchange to another, or from one wallet to another, or do you think it's really about the application level and the utility level of the project?
I mean, if you think from a bigger picture perspective, data kind of builds everything else, because once you have the storage, you could build different kind of software layers on top of it to create applications. So, for example, either moving a coin transactions or creating dApps, all of this becomes a little bit secondary once you establish the core decentralized storage layer. Our goal is to essentially provide this infrastructure. So along with it, once we lay down the secure layer, then we have a ton of application that we are planning to build on top of this. Plus, we have a lot of interesting community users who wants to build their own things on top of this layer. So we definitely foresee a lot more multi-blockchain, cross-blockchain applications on top of this decentralized storage coming through in next few years for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about where do I want to go with this. Let's talk about community support. So how can our community or others watching this get involved with Folder Protocol? What are the incentives for individuals right now? Or is there an early access program, an ambassadorship program? What can early adopters stand to benefit from getting involved now?
Yeah, great. I mean, again, great questions. Yeah, we have some very, very attractive incentives set up for helping grow the network, growing the community through very specific ambassador programs and some other incentives. I think the best place to discuss the exact details, what those are, things like that, would be the community, the Telegram community, to know exact details. As we are launching this Folder NFT DeFi platform, we kind of revised our entire rewards program. So you'll find out a lot more details in coming up in next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, beside these ambassador programs and other incentives structures that we already set up, a complete revamp of all the rewards program. So again, the best place to find out exactly all the details will be the Folder Telegram community.
Okay. All right, you hear that, guys? Go out and join the Folder Telegram community. So I've got a couple more questions before we wrap it up here. The first, I think, let's talk about Folder Protocol's progress. Like, what have you guys accomplished so far? What are the milestones you've hit? And then what do you see as milestones you're going to hit over the next year?
Sure. Let's see. So we are aggressively building technical specs for the second layer of solution right now. We are probably at the very final stage, and we have some beta testing going on for some components of the core protocol algorithm. Next quarter, we will be actually doing a very, very, very early, I wouldn't even call it beta, but probably some very selective miners and stakers coming into the network, participating and seeing stress testing for performance and latency, these kind of factors. So that's a short-term thing. And the long-term thing, we have a lot of very big ideas coming through on becoming a multi-blockchain, a cross-blockchain decentralized storage. That means, for example, the NFT space and DeFi space is exploring. We are trying to implementing something called um, a universal decentralized ID into the platform. That would basically, for example, let's say you are creating an NFT on some blockchain, you want to bring it back to some other blockchain. Today, there is no way to basically cross-reference. This universal DID, universal decentralized ID, kind of helps you cross-reference across the blockchains. Uh, of your NFT. So you should be able to create on one blockchain and usually able to reference in some other blockchain if you want to through this let's say new form of URL, universal decentralized ID URL, something like that. So there's some interesting concepts are coming into the protocol at the infrastructure layer to build out all this kind of stuff.
And what do you see the future of decentralized storage? Let's fast forward 5 years from now and then 10 years from now. What do you think Folder protocol looks like? What do you think the actual storage decentralized industry looks like?
Well, if I have to project, like let's say how Amazon AWS started, or Google Storage, or Dropbox started, in my guess, maybe in 5 years, decentralized storage may capture somewhere between 10 to 20%, market share, if you can maintain that kind of solution, especially targeting the scalability, performance, low latency, things like that. But we need to have something happen so that people kind of deeply care about privacy, security, decentralizing trust. Then we probably completely reverse the whole situation. I wouldn't be surprised 10, 15 years from now, decentralized storage is probably the major player, because the mindset of the user, developer, business kind of completely changed. When they want to create a company, when they want to create an app, create a platform, when they want to store something, privacy, security, decentralizing trust becomes core factors for them. So I would at least hope that's the direction we're going.
Wow. Okay, you guys, well, you heard it here first. Big changes coming over the next 5 to 10 years. Get involved now. I think I want to thank Nagu for coming on today, and appreciate you taking our users' questions. And if you want to learn more about Folder Protocol, please head over to folderprotocol.io, as was mentioned a few times earlier.
Folder.io.
Yep. And join the Telegram and drop any questions you have about this AMA or any other questions you might have in the future there for further answers. So thanks a lot. Appreciate your time. And I don't have anything else if you don't. So
yeah, good. Thank you so much, Chris, and thanks everyone.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.